And I was walking through Walmart with my fiance, and I see this couple. They come past me, and I don't think too much of it, but I noticed they were kind of looking over at us. And we turn in the aisle, and they turn around and follow me. Like, oh man, I don't know what's going on here. But they ended up, tapping me on the shoulder, like, "Hey, are you Alex?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "Oh, we watch your YouTube channel." And the crazy part to me was they're like, "We watch your YouTube channel, and we moved here because of the YouTube channel all the way from Alaska." I'm like, "Wow." And that's crazy for me to think about. My videos were enough value to them. They made a decision to move from Alaska to Iowa, Illinois area.
Where do you find a family of communities connected by the storied Mississippi River, where young explorers and dreamers, investors and entrepreneurs thrive? Where can you connect with real people living and creating in a place that's as genuine as it is quirky? QC, that's where.
Welcome to QC That's Where. I'm your host, Katrina, and I'm so excited to be talking with Alex Skeen today, real estate agent, YouTube extraordinaire, what have you. Alex, I'm going to throw it over to you, and let's talk about living in the Quad Cities and being in the real estate game.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me here. Pretty cool to be on the podcast. I listen to you guys all the time, so awesome to be invited and be a part of this. So awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on too. I know that it's a busy world in the industry that you're in, so the time you're spending with me is much appreciated.
No problem at all. So so my name's Alex Skeen. I've been in the Quad Cities since about 2015. I have a YouTube channel that basically goes over what the Quad Cities is like. And, my origin story and why I have the YouTube channel is kind of an interesting path. I moved here, like I said, in 2015. I was just out of school, living in Ames, went to school at Iowa State, so go Cyclones. I got my mechanical engineering degree, and I started working here as an intern for Alcoa, which, as you probably know, is Arconic now, and got a full-time job offer there and started working for them. Was a mechanical engineer, and really cool job. If you don't know much about Arconic, they have some super cool products there. I mean, they supply, like, I want to say it's like 98% of the aluminum for all commercial aircraft. They have stuff supplied for SpaceX, rockets, Tesla, Ford F-150s. They have really cool stuff there. And I did enjoy my time there. I worked on those big giant reversing mills. That was my primary focus. But at some point I was just kind of, feeling like every day was just monotonous and wasn't getting the joy out of it like I did when I first got there. So that's where I started to look at different opportunities, and my different opportunity actually became real estate. So became a licensed realtor, and when I got it, I had never planned on becoming a full-time realtor, even when I was doing my engineering job, because engineering, you get paid pretty well. And to go to real estate where it's very unknown how you're going to get paid, it was a big jump. So I never planned on it. But the funny thing about making that transition is my buddy, he lives in Florida, and he's in the Air Force, and he predicts the weather for NASA and SpaceX in order to launch rockets, which I went down and visited him, and I had a part in helping build those rockets because of Arconic. And I watched this rocket launch, which was awesome. And I don't know, Katrina, have you ever watched the rockets launch down there?
Only on TV.
Yeah. Well, highly recommend getting down there and watching it because it's just amazing. We watched a night one, and I swear when they lit it, it literally looked like the sun was turned back on. It was so bright. Like, it's just really amazing. But when I watched the rocket launch, the thing that stood out to me is that nobody's going to ever know that I had a part in that.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, I was doing both real estate and the engineering job. And the thing that I noted about real estate is people appreciated what I did and got thank yous, which sounds kind of cheesy, but I just really liked that aspect. And that was actually the moment I decided I was going to leave my engineering job and go into this real estate thing for full time. But how does this all kind of accumulate, which is what we're here to talk about, into YouTube? Well, the thing that I noticed when I was coming here, just out of college, 2015, was there wasn't a lot of great resources to find out what it's actually like to live in the Quad Cities. And as part of the real estate job, that's part of our duties, is to let people know what it's like to live here. And nobody was making videos about it. So branched out, saw some other markets, some other realtors in different markets like Colorado, New York, and a lot of people are having channels that are doing this sort of stuff. So started learning from them and really just started making content for our local area. I mean, you guys over there at Visit Quad Cities do a fabulous job, but you're more geared, and I may be wrong, but it seems like you're more geared towards like touristy type stuff and events versus the actual living. Is that pretty accurate?
So it can be like that. We definitely have, like a staked claim in the tourism assets and, kind of highlighting the beauty and the what to do on a weekend. But that's why I was really excited to talk to you, Alex, because we love to partner with people who can get more in the nitty-gritty of like what the neighborhood's going to be like. I mean, it's the Quad Cities is so large and vast that there's just no way for one entity to see it all. So partnering with someone like you, where we can cover like, here's what's happening this weekend, and you can cover like, here's what your morning walk is going to be like, that's
Yeah.
the beauty of the Quad Cities and partnerships like this. So, and I got to touch really quick on your switch from engineering to real estate. Like, it may sound surprising, but the times you and I have talked recently, you're a people person. So it actually totally makes sense to me that you kind of fell into that as opposed to, the engineering sphere. And you are a literal rocket scientist, I just learned. So that's awesome. But please continue.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I helped build the aluminum to make the rockets. I never had to do the projections on how the rocket was going to function. So, clarify, I'm not a rocket scientist.
Details.
Exactly. But what's funny about that is I don't feel like I was your typical engineer the whole time I was in school. I graduated with honors and all that, but I always say it's because I was working harder than most. I'm not the most technical, not the smartest, especially when you get around some of these engineers that are technical. It's like, okay, I can see my weakness here. And I did enjoy getting around people. And the plan even from school was to not be an engineer the rest of my life. It was more to get into management. But when I got to Arconic, I saw what management did, and it just wasn't what I had in my mind of what it was going to look like. So that's kind of where I did start, reaching out and figuring out what did I like about the people side of things and how could I apply that elsewhere. So yeah, I mean, retrospectively, it does probably make sense that I'm in real estate versus the engineering part, but it's not a typical jump for sure. I don't know of any other engineers that are also realtors, at least locally, unless they haven't told me, which is quite possible.
Yeah. So your YouTube channel is focused on, the things that we're missing basically when you moved here. And so in one of your YouTube videos, you mentioned how you've lived all over the state of Iowa. Go ahead and drill into that a little bit. Where have you lived in Iowa, and like in your experience, how does it compare now to being on the Iowa side of the Quad Cities?
Yeah, so I have lived everywhere. I grew up in Western Iowa, right on the border of the Missouri River, about 20 to 30 minutes away, I guess. And then I moved to Ames, which is central Iowa, did a stint in Des Moines for a little bit, and then also did a stint in Marshalltown, so kind of that central Iowa area. And then, like I said, in 2015, made the jump over here to Eastern Iowa, so all along I-80. Can't say I've lived too much in the northern and southern parts, but all the central parts, the middle of the state. But yeah, that video, ironically enough, it's kind of a negative video on the surface. The title, I think it's like 7 reasons you should avoid moving to Iowa or something like
I
that.
pulled it up. Avoid. Okay, here's the kind of cool thing. And if you're not familiar with Alex's YouTube channel, so Alex has a YouTube channel. called Living in the Quad Cities. And this video we're talking about, all caps, avoid moving to Iowa. Unless you can handle these 7 things is the title. And I'll let you get into it. I just have to say, I love the like anti-advice kind of like vibe it has, because once you click in and you start listening, it's genuine information, but it's just truths that are like, this may not be for everyone, but it's not necessarily bad stuff.
Yeah. And that's why I say, on the surface, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
Avoid moving to Iowa. The way I look at it is, I don't know about you, but I shop on Amazon all the time, right? And you see those negative reviews, and usually those are the ones that are the most helpful on if you're going to purchase or not.
Totally.
And that's kind of how I look at the channels. Like, I want to let people know what it's like to live in Iowa, in Davenport, Bettendorf, Moline, all of those, because you don't want somebody to get here and then be disappointed and then leave the community. And that's the crazy part about the channel is people reach out to me, and usually the negative videos are the ones they're most thankful for. They're like, I didn't know you got, 10 inches of snow a year, or whatever it is. It's like, I'm glad to hear that. And they're excited about that. Like, I live in Phoenix and I don't get snow here. I just want to see snow when I move there. Where us live here, we might complain, snow, cold, it's awful. But somebody that hasn't seen it and they want to, they're going to be really appreciative of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. No, you're so right about those, negative reviews, because what might be a big deal breaker to somebody might not be to somebody else, or might be a positive thing. I like to think it was in that video you also said, if you're moving here, particularly from the South, be prepared to answer the question, like, how much snow have you seen before here? And I'm like guilty of that. I used to have a coworker at my previous job who was from Texas, and I would, every time it snowed, I'm like, is this the most snow you've seen now? Like, how you liking it? It's just kind of like in our blood to flaunt the extreme winter weather that we get just for fun.
Yep.
Yeah, it is something that you need to know if you're coming here.
Exactly. No, it's fun to see that. And then, when I get to meet some of these people that are coming here, it's fun for me to see their perspective on things. My fiance is a good example. She was born in the Philippines, but she grew up in Saudi Arabia, and then she moved to Rock Island, which are not the same at all. So some things that I take for granted, she's, just mesmerized by, like the snow, for one example, but she also loves fireflies in the summer. To me, growing up in Iowa, that's a pretty common thing. I don't even really think about it, but she sees them, she runs out there and she's like, oh, this is awesome. And when you think about it a little deeper, they are pretty cool. I mean, what other animal produces a light like that? It's not a common thing. So.
And it's not toxic. You can grab it in your hand and actually like enjoy it up close and personal.
Yeah, exactly. So it's fun to do those, because that's what I keep in mind is like the things I find common may not be common for somebody else, and I want to share those sorts of things. And that's the big goal with the channel, is just share the commonalities that somebody may not know or like.
And your videos have gotten a worldwide audience.
Yeah.
Tell me about we were talking before, you mentioned some countries that you've reached and actually gotten like notes from. Can you dive into that a little?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the Quad Cities, I think it's known, but it's not really known, especially on the world stage. And the thing with the videos is it's one of the biggest stages that you could have out there. And I'm getting people reaching out. I've had people from Malaysia, South Africa, Brazil. Brazil is actually a pretty common one. I think a lot of them are coming for John Deere. I think they have a plant down there. So I get people from Brazil, Mexico, all sorts of places. And, it's just really cool to show the world what it's like here, not just the United States, but outside the world. And people do come here much more often than you might think. And it's just really cool to be able to share that information with them as well.
Yeah, like you mentioned, people coming for like a John Deere job, or, if we have some pretty major like corporate hubs here. And so someone like you providing that inside look from a local on an easy access platform like YouTube, how valuable of a service is that you're giving people for free? I gotta have you talk about your Walmart experience.
Yeah, we talked about that beforehand. It always amazes me how much people trust me and think of me as this like quote unquote celebrity. And I was walking through Walmart with my fiance, and I see this couple. They come past me, and I don't think too much of it, but I noticed they were kind of looking over at us. And we turn in the aisle, and they turn around and follow me. And normally, that's probably a little bit
Red
alarming,
flag.
but like, oh man, well, I don't know what's going on here. But they ended up, tapping me on the shoulder, like, "Hey, are you Alex?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "Oh, we watch your YouTube channel." And the crazy part to me was they're like, "We watch your YouTube channel, and we moved here because of the YouTube channel all the way from Alaska." I'm like, "Wow." And that's crazy for me to think about. My videos were enough value to them. They made a decision to move from Alaska to Iowa, Illinois area. Like that's a big change. And that was just a real world change. And I get people calling me all the time, but to have it in real terms was just a really cool experience.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Like, they probably had seen enough of your videos where they could get kind of a sense of who you were and what you were about, and could tell that you were being real about living here, because you're not just trying to paint it all flowers and rainbows and happy stuff, but the real life living in the Quad Cities, which can be beautiful and wonderful, and it can also come with 12 inches of snow. You just never know. But I think it really shows that Quad citizens, like as part of our kind of brand here at Visit Quad Cities, we strive to be genuine, and we like to show our quirky side. And I think that that's all encompassed in those videos that you're putting out. So on
Yeah.
behalf of Visit Quad Cities, thanks for doing that service for the community and beyond. It's just really, really, really valuable. I wanted to list a couple. So just to list a couple of the more popular videos on your channel to illustrate what we're talking about. So there's the avoid moving to Iowa one. There's 7 reasons not to move to Davenport, Iowa. Living in Davenport, Iowa, the dark side of moving to Davenport. And then 7 reasons not to move to Moline, Illinois. And I know in at least a couple of these, you mentioned the Iowa nice, or like Midwest nice kind of vibe that people put off. And although I'm a Midwesterner, I'm originally from Michigan, it's kind of always been part of my life is that you're gonna just say hey to someone walking down the street. But you're so right. In those videos you mentioned, like maybe you're coming from a community or a state or something that's, you kind of keep to yourself, and you're not accustomed to like chatting people up on the subway, and that's okay. But just know that it's gonna happen here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, hearing you read those titles off, I mean, I made a lot of those videos a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, but it's interesting for me to hear those because those are all negative titles, quote
Right.
unquote negative titles. And it's kind of the nature of YouTube as well. If they're not clicking, then they're not going to watch. So a lot of these negative titles are the ones that get clicked the most. And then
Yeah.
obviously that's the views. But then they watch it and they realize that it is genuine and it's not necessarily negative. But the thing I find interesting about these negative videos is I have locals will watch it too. And they're the ones that get the most upset about it because they don't actually watch the video. They just see the title and the thumbnail, and they're like, "Oh, how could you talk bad about it?" I'm like, "Well, did you watch the video?" I didn't really talk bad about it. It was just, if it snows here. If you don't like snow, don't move here. Like, it's not necessarily a huge negative. So it's always fun and interesting to see those comments from local people because they don't actually watch the whole video.
Right. I mean, it's a great tactic, and it's not clickbait, because genuinely what you're saying is real stuff you'll encounter. Maybe you'll like it, maybe not, and lay it all out and let people decide for themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really like the tactic. I thought it was really interesting. So talk to me a little bit about real estate, like the real estate game. I mean, you're full-time in it, you're licensed on Illinois and Iowa side of the river. What kind of what kind of interest do you get from people who are coming from outside the area? Are they more interested on the Iowa side, the Illinois side? Is it kind of a mixed bag? What are you seeing?
Yeah, so like I said, people contact me. I mean, if you watch the videos, my phone number is literally on the video, my email's on the video for people to actually reach out. And what I find is it's a really mixed bag as far as where people want to land. It depends on what their job is here, where they want to live, if they care about taxes, or if they just have a preference one or the other. It really is a mixed bag, and it comes down to a lot of factors. Obviously the people coming here are usually the buyers. As far as the actual real estate market, it's an interesting market right now where our interest rates are up, but our prices are also up. But the thing I'll say about that is people that are coming through the videos are coming usually from states that are a lot more costly, like California, Texas. The price point is a lot higher. So they see these prices and they're like, oh, that's nothing. And a lot of times they're pre-approved, ready to go. And it's just an interesting dynamic to see because I work with local buyers and sellers too. And the dynamic shift between where they're coming from and if you're just local is just interesting dynamic there. So yeah.
When you're guiding people through the Quad Cities, based on their preferences, whether they're looking on the Illinois or the Iowa side, do you find that there is, one or two major selling points to convince somebody to, live in the Quad Cities, whether it be the Illinois or Iowa side? We're all in it together. It's easy to get from one side to the other, but is there something major that you're like, oh, you should consider this?
Yeah. I'd say the Quad Cities overall is kind of homogeneous. Yes, we have the Iowa, Illinois side, but there's really not one thing on either side that is like, the North Star that people look towards.
Yeah.
I think that attracts this area, attracts a lot of people to the area is the cost of living and the prices of homes and just getting away from people. A lot of these individuals that are coming here are in big cities where it's crowded and just congested all the time. And I don't know about you, but we complain about the traffic once in a while. But if you actually go to a real big city, it's a whole nother level. And if you're coming from that, this is awesome. Like there's no stop traffic anytime, and you might get a little bit busy. And we got rid of the old I-74 bridge, so we don't have those big backups anymore. But no, it is interesting seeing their perspective because it is the cost of living. It is the getting away from the amount of people. The Quad Cities, obviously, it's a pretty big metro area, but nothing compared to like a Chicago or an LA in any means.
Yeah, and I think it's easy. The longer you're here, the more you're kind of like, oh, it does feel like a big city. It does feel like there's people everywhere all the time. But like, that's one thing. Like, so I'm from like the Ann Arbor, Michigan area, and I used to work in Detroit. So like when I first came here, I was like, whoa, I can get to work in 6 minutes. There is literally no commute. And it still holds true, through the years that I've been here. There's no commute time. And that's a huge selling point for me. I love to tell people that. My friends who are still back in Michigan, I'm like, can you drive to work in under a half hour? No, most people can't,
No.
And then another thing, I think just the novelty of like being able to get between two states in just a matter of minutes is very cool. And it's something that people here, not in a bad way, but like take for granted. It's just like, I like, North Park Mall, and then I'm going to go hop over the river and do some shopping in Watermark Corners, downtown Moline or something. It's very easy to get whatever you need. It's like that small town feel with big city amenities, I like to say. But yeah, those are kind of my like highlight points of the QC. So,
or even a better point is where you're gonna get your gasoline, which side.
Right.
Some people drive to one side or the other depending on what they want to get.
That's so true. Yeah, as the prices fluctuate. Yeah, and the two states, okay, do you find this to be, a point of contention for buyers that like Iowa and Illinois politically are very different? And, tax wise, like you said, are very different. Gas prices very different. Is that ever something that people are like, I have to live on X side because of this?
Yeah, I do get people that do have a strong opinion about that
Yeah,
because it is such a big dynamic. I do touch on those things a little bit in some of my videos. I try to stay a little bit away from politics, just because it's so dividing.
totally.
I don't like to talk about it too much, but I definitely do get people that are like, nope, can't live in Illinois, nope, can't live in Iowa, and these are the reasons why. So then we just take them and we show them the side, whatever side they prefer, and you definitely see that for sure on those things.
What's been your favorite in the videos that you've made? What's been your favorite video or your favorite like piece of advice or nugget that you've shared?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, I think I'm approaching 100 videos on there, so it's hard to remember all of them.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know if it's my favorite, but the thing that I talk about probably the most is the weather for whatever reason. I think it's the most common one because everybody talks about the weather. They want to know what it's like. They want to know the natural disasters, so like tornadoes, how much of a risk is that, or hail. So that's definitely the one I talk about the most. Whether it's my favorite, probably not. I repeat it a lot, and I don't stray away from talking about it because a lot of times it's going to be new viewers for the newer videos, and they still want to hear that sort of stuff. But that is definitely the most common. And I can't think of my favorite. I go to Vanderveer Park a lot, and I like making videos there. So I guess in the recording process, that's probably my favorite thing to do is be outside, go to these parks that maybe I don't go. And by the way, about that, making these videos, I've learned so much more about the Quad Cities because I have to think of a video twice a week. So what am I
Yeah.
going to talk about? And definitely I've learned a lot about the Quad Cities that I never would have learned otherwise. So it's really kind of a cool byproduct of making these videos. So that's something I do really like about it.
So if you don't have an answer for this, that's fine. We will bypass it. But do you have a highlight moment from your real estate career since you've switched over from engineering? What stands out to you?
Highlight moment is probably just being able to help people manage the buying or selling process. One in particular moment was probably my first YouTube client. They came from, oh, I don't know, Texas. I can't remember where they came from. I need to look that up. But I remember the first time is the first call I ever got. And I was like, whoa, somebody actually watched this video and decided to call me. Like that was amazing. And then when I first met them, and this happens all the time, but it was more impactful the very first time I did it, is they felt like they knew me already because they've been watching my videos for months. I had no idea what they even look like. But when they saw me, like, oh, hey, Alex, how's it going? I'm so glad that you fit us in. And, people call me, they think I don't have time for them because they see me on YouTube or their TV. And I definitely have time for people. The mentality is almost a pseudo celebrity where because they see you on the phone or on their TV or however they watch it, they do feel like, oh my gosh, like this is the guy. I'm like, to me, I'm just a normal dude. Like, yeah, I'm on the YouTube, but I don't feel like a celebrity. But having that interaction with my very first client off of YouTube was just pretty fun to see.
That is amazing that you were able to see results from the hard work you were putting in. And I don't know, I would say like 30,000 views is nothing to shake a finger at. And you're encroaching upon 100 videos, you said, like you're definitely climbing to celebrity status in my book. So what are your like long range goals for your channel or for your, real estate career at all?
Yeah, so for the channel, it's my favorite clients. Can I say that? I don't know. No,
Say it.
they're awesome. All my clients are awesome. But as far as, getting clients, sometimes we do other methods of getting clients. You can have Facebook ads or whatever. There's not that trust there right away. So I like YouTube clients because they do come to me and they do feel like they trust me, and it's just a better interaction altogether for everybody involved. It's not like I have to sell them on X, Y, and Z. But long-term goal is to have my YouTube be the main source of people coming to me and being able to have other agents have the benefit of that interaction with people. So that's just making more videos, getting more views. I mean, the channel has over 1 million impressions now. I think it's like 1.2 million impressions, and then views is over 100,000. We just hit the 100,000 mark, I think last week. So
Congratulations. That's a huge deal.
thank you. Yeah, it's crazy to me that people watch me 100,000 times, and
Right.
then you look at the watch time hours too. I think it's like 8,000 watch time hours, which it blows my mind that people are watching me for that long. But no, that's the real goal. Helping people, providing them enough value to where they want to reach out to me, and then eventually to where I can hand these people off and they have the same trust and loyalty to the team because we're providing them so much value up front and then throughout the process of buying or selling their home.
Yeah, I wish you all the best in your YouTube climbing. I think those videos are so valuable, and I wonder, I mean, maybe you do or don't know. I wonder if anybody out there in your same industry has seen them and gone, "Oh, hey, cool idea for my community." Maybe probably no
Yeah.
way to know, but
So there's nobody locally that I know of, but there's definitely other areas. Like I said, I just mimicked other markets like Colorado. My mentor is actually in Denver, and I learned from them all the time on different things that they're doing. And same type of information, just applied locally. So yeah, I definitely get people talking to me about the videos. They see it, and it's just kind of a cool dynamic. In fact, I'm going to be hosting a class next week or 2 weeks from now for realtors in Des Moines, and me and a local lender in Des Moines, are going to talk about it, and maybe we get somebody started up in Des Moines to do the same thing because I think it's one of the best things I've ever done. It does take a little time to get going, but once you do gain that trust. You provide value to people, and they just really like it.
and you've highlighted like I want to say Urban Teak in Walcott. Is that one that you did like a walkthrough?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the first videos that I made.
Okay.
She's great. I don't know if you know Diana, but she's awesome.
Yeah, I've
Great
been
little
out there
business.
and was able to meet her at her business, and yeah, I agree. It's really cool. It's really unique, and it was really like I watched your video. I think probably back when you launched it, because it was very helpful to be able to see, oh, when you get outside of the immediate Quad Cities, what else there is.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one because you guys picked it up, I think for like Women's Month or something along
Yeah.
those, small business for women. And I remember thinking like, I think I got like 300 views on that video right away. And when you start a YouTube channel, for folks that don't know, if you get 10 views on a video, that's impressive when you first start. So to have 300 views from you guys coming was awesome. And looking back, 300 views to me is a great number, but it's not as monumental as I thought it was back then. So it was cool to see that and how you guys picked it up. But yeah, it was cool to make that video. And like I said, Diane is an awesome person. Definitely should check her place out.
Shout out to Diana.
That's right. Urban Teak out there.
Well, Alex, I think it is time for me to ask you to fill in the blank. QC, that's where.
Well, I'm glad you told me about this before. I had to think about it, but I think I have a good one. So, QC, that's where home is. I think that kind of sums up my goal with the channel and having people reach out to me. And I think that's a pretty simple one, right?
I really like that. I never know what the answer is going to be. It can be something like related to the topic we've been talking about. It can be something totally unrelated. It's always a fun surprise. I really like that. It's simple and it's sweet, and it totally is Quad Cities. That's where home is. So, Alex, where can people find you on social media before I let you go?
Yeah, so a couple different areas. I run a Facebook group called Living in the Quad Cities. It's a very simple group. I share articles, events that are going on. A lot of times I share your guys' stuff. You can join that group. To find me personally, you can find me on Instagram, at Alex Skeen Real. And then if you want to be my friend on Facebook, it's just Alexander Skeen. You can hit me up there. And then obviously the YouTube channel.
Perfect. Well, Alex, keep doing what you're doing. We love it here, and we are here to partner and support any extra information that people can get about the Quad Cities. So thank you so much for being on.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to QC That's Where, a podcast powered by Visit Quad Cities. Text Visit QC to 38314 for insider events, activities, and updates sent straight to your phone. That's VISITQC, one word, to 38314. Message and data rates may apply.